Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 17 of the Old Men Magic podcast with your hosts, Alex and Steve. On today's episode, we discuss the 30th anniversary edition sale. It finally happened, and it appears not to have gone so well for Wizards. We also talk about Gustcloak, which is a cool little combat mechanic that was introduced back in Onslaught. If you enjoy what you hear today, follow us at Old Men Magic on YouTube. You can also find the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you do the social media thing, you can find Old Men Magic on both Twitter and now Facebook. So let's get right into the podcast. I hope you enjoy.
We're on speakerphone. Woo!
We're just starting episode 17. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Steve. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, my friend. Nice to talk to you.
You're our first guest.
Nice.
Welcome.
I don't have any pre-prepared magic questions. Unfortunately, I just have a quick one for Alex, if that's okay.
Did you call to ask about drugs?
I did not call to ask about drugs, no. I called to make sure Alex is still coming today. If I'll see you at 1 o'clock. I just wanted to make sure you're coming.
I am coming to the football game. I might be a little late because we're just getting started. I was coming home from Cleveland, but
I'll let you guys go. Get back to the podcasting. Steve, always a pleasure. I will see you whenever you get here, Alex.
Okay, cool.
Bye, Lee.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
Well, that was our first guest, Lee. I thought that went pretty well.
Excellent. I wasn't going to start the show yet, but now I got to put Lee in the podcast, so we've actually started.
So
the show.
we're going. Yo.
I got to pick up my show notes. I don't know where I put them. They're down here.
Anytime.
Yeah. Okay, I got my show notes. So, today we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about the thing that I don't want to talk about anymore, and nobody wants to talk about anymore. And I don't even think people want to hear about it anymore. But we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
So we're still going to talk about it here, but this will probably be the last time that we ever talk about it. That thing is going to be the thing that we're going to talk about that I don't want to talk about is 30th anniversary edition Magic the Gathering. In addition to that, we're going to talk a little bit about Gustcloak cards. We might talk about some stuff we bought. If you have anything you bought that you want to talk about real quick, I want to talk about something I bought real quick, very short. And then maybe some things that I haven't bought, but then I think maybe are worth buying. Did I talk about the Brothers War retro frame stuff on last episode? Since I'm old and I can't remember what I talked about a whole week
I don't think so.
Okay, they're pretty sweet. Anyways.
Yeah, I saw. I do. I think we talked about Howling Mine a little bit, but we didn't really talk about like the whole like group of them or anything.
There's not a whole lot I want to say. I just want to go through them. I don't know if you looked at them yet, but I was going to pull up the artwork. They're pretty cool.
Cool.
Okay, let's get started. Alex, tell me
Steve.
about your weekend so far.
Oh,
how was Cones of Dunshire?
I played Gloomhaven again with my brother-in-law and friends, and it was fun.
Still going?
Yeah.
Did you guys?
It continues to be fun. We're gonna try to play again in a couple more weeks. Get together.
So is it like you play, and then the game's done, or every time you go back up there, are you picking up the same game?
Yeah, we're picking up the same game. There's like scenarios, and we get through like one or two scenarios, each time, and you get treasure and experience.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't do much this weekend. I
watched soccer.
Prepped for the podcast a little bit. I read about some news to make sure I was up on the current news, and I just watched soccer. I watched the men's team. U.S. men's team embarrassed themselves.
Yes, I watched some of it.
I didn't expect them to win against Netherlands. I've always liked Netherlands. Netherlands is always a tough out. And I think they're ranked like 8th in the world right now. So they weren't expected to win. But all 3 goals that they let Netherlands score were terrible. It was just, I don't know if it was lack of discipline or laziness. It was one of those two. They just didn't mark their men. They did.
Well, okay,
two of them, they didn't follow them on runs at all.
Okay.
The third one, they didn't mark the man on the far post. They just let him go.
It didn't. Okay. I'm glad you said that because I don't know a ton about, like theory of soccer or anything, but it seemed to me like they had just like out of position or undefended guys. And I was kind of like, oh, well, and some of the men's players were even kind of like, you saw the goal go in there, they're kind of like, whoa.
I know they did the raise their hand
like,
thing.
what the fuck was that? Like, what?
You weren't marking your men. You weren't following them on runs. So that was terrible. And then I watched Argentina beat Australia.
Mhm.
And of course, that was the expected result. Argentina was expected to beat Australia, but Australia kind of blew that one too. Like they lost 2-1, but the second goal that Argentina scored was just a massive mistake on a global scale by the keeper.
Mm.
It was terrible. Like his players played the ball back to him to clear it, and instead of clearing it, he had a bad first touch. He kicked it too far away from himself.
Oh,
And a
God.
striker from Argentina ran up and knocked it in.
Oh,
and
no.
It was like the kind of thing that you shouldn't even, the kind of thing that would get you benched in high school if a
Yeah.
keeper did that. It was terrible.
Wow.
And people are like, yeah, and it's true that no one play ever wins or loses the game. And he had an incredible save later in the game. He saved a rifle shot, and then he saved the ricochet that came right back at him. He was not expected to make that save at all. He did. So you could say, he blew one, but he saved one. But no, it doesn't count. It doesn't, you can't make up for a mistake that bad. When you're at that high level, you're expected not to make stupid mistakes like that.
Yeah, I understand.
And
that.
you're also expected to occasionally make a great play. So he blew it. He blew it. Soccer yesterday was terrible because of that.
Because of
But today is a new day. I don't have to think about the men's team losing anymore. I don't think I have to think about Australia losing anymore. Now I'm here to think about and talk about Magic the Gathering. Alex, the 30th anniversary edition. So when I was on my trip, I wasn't thinking at all about my real life and what was going on back here at my job or in the world of Magic the Gathering. When I came back, I started reading the news, started to learn about what I missed while I was gone. And I was like, oh my God, 30th anniversary edition still has not gone on sale. It felt like we were talking about it forever. People were talking about it forever. I was surprised it didn't go on sale.
me too. Yeah.
November 28th, it went live Monday. I don't know if you were following it that day or not.
Not on the actual website or anything, but I'm online on Reddit and stuff like that, listening to people talk. So
yeah, I didn't get online
Yes.
either. I didn't try to buy any, but during my lunch break, I checked Twitter to see what was going on. It looks like it went on sale, and the sale only lasted for 30 minutes. And people are like, oh my God, did it sell out? What happened? Then Wizards tweeted. This was their tweet.
Yes, saw this.
The 30th anniversary edition sale has concluded. The product is currently unavailable for purchase. Thanks for everyone who joined us today! ! So nowhere in there did they say that it actually sold out.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not too familiar with Wizards online sales and whether they usually tweet when something sells out, and if they do usually tweet, how they usually phrase it. I bought the secret layer, but I could not remember like what it said after it actually sold out.
Mhm.
But many people felt like the wording of this tweet was very strange. So it wasn't just me when I read this.
The post where I saw it, it was like whoever posted it said, yeah, because that's what you say when your product sells out.
Yeah, there was so much controversy about it. There were so many people saying, oh, this is going to be a failure. You'd think that if it did sell out, they'd want to advertise that fact. They'd want to say to the haters, to the hater ass bitches out there, that they were wrong, that it did sell out.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They just said it was currently unavailable for purchase. And this made me think maybe
the sale has concluded.
Yeah. So either they pulled it, or my thought was maybe their intention was never to allow the print run to sell out. Maybe their intention was always just to release a very small fraction of the print run for sale on that day and to hold the rest back in the warehouse. So in that case, they wouldn't say sold out, because if they actually had some back in the warehouse that they tried to sell later on, if they said it was sold out, they could potentially get sued for pretending that no more of this product was available, because then maybe it would be a bit up higher on the secondary market. People would think they would never have access to it again. If they came out a year from now and be like, JK, we said it was sold out, but it never really sold out.
Yeah.
That'd be bad. So I thought maybe they did that because their intention was just to release a small fraction of the print run at a time, just to pretend like there was more demand than it was. And they could say, oh, the amount that we were intending to sell at this time is no longer available, blah, blah, blah. But some people thought that it was just so bad, it was selling so poorly, that the CEO was making phone calls to people, to the sales team, to the marketing team, and they were like, pull it now, and slamming the phone down, and cocaine was flying everywhere. Who knows? It was very suspicious. So I started reading about it later in the day. There were several more suspicious things that came out. There were people who were trying to log in, trying to either buy the product or just get an idea of what the queue system was like, whether or not there was a long delay to get through the queue, whether people were getting kicked out of the queue. All these things were happening for the 30th anniversary countdown kit secret layer. And all these things have apparently happened during prior secret layer releases, or when they were releasing other sets there were a lot of demand for. None of this, according to the tweets I saw, people weren't having problem logging in. They weren't having problems entering the sales queue or passing through the sales queue. So that was one suspicious thing. At least one thing that made you think there wasn't a lot of demand.
System wasn't swamped. It wasn't,
there are no technical
tried
problems.
to get one was getting one.
Yeah, and Wizards has technical problems with these things. All of a sudden, in this case, they weren't having technical problems. The next day, there were very few copies on the secondary market on like TCG Player and eBay. So I haven't been buying new products for a long time. It was just recently I tried to buy a new product. But listening to people like Jake and Jeweler Magic, other people who make YouTube videos who have been involved in MTG finance and have been tracking these sales for a long time. If there's a product that's in very high demand, they say the next day it's normal to see hundreds of copies on eBay for sale already. The next day there were 10 or something. Very small number.
Well, you would think, people are always talking about like the race to the bottom and everything. You would think that if scalpers or resellers had these and the sale had concluded that quickly, that they would be rushing to get them up for sale before the price dropped.
Yes. So there weren't many for sale. So that was another thing that led people to think, that this does not sell well at all. A third thing that I heard was people who are in the UK or overseas, the sales ended for them at the exact same time.
Yeah,
that they ended.
I saw that
the
too,
US market.
and I thought that was also that's a very unusual thing. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's something we don't understand about the way they do things, but that seemed unusual to me.
You had mentioned to me something before about different markets being allotted different amounts of product, and it might be sold out in one market, but you could still purchase it.
Yeah, I've read about people talking about that online. I assume it's true from what I've been reading. Yeah.
And I've heard people say in prior products that they've tried to purchase, it has sold out in these different markets on the different websites, EU website, US website, at different times. This was highly unusual for it to be ended at the same exact time in these different markets. So that was another thing that made people think Wizards they put an end to it right away. So these are all suspicions people had.
Yeah.
A couple days later, the streets were talking. And by the streets, I mean a Twitter user named MTGO Salseo, SALSEO. I don't know who he is. He came with numbers. So this is just a tweet. This could be totally made up. I have no idea. But from people in the know, they see these numbers and they're not surprised by these numbers. These sound kind of right to them. He says he had some insider information and he can confirm that there is a max global limit of 14,188 units available for sale. I saw Rudy from Alpha Investments, the Rudester, the Rude dude, talking about this, and he said he read this out and he's like, these numbers are so specific. They seem it seems real to me. Which really,
just because they're specific.
If I was going to make something up, I wouldn't just say like 15,000. I would make up a specific number too. So I don't know. You can draw any conclusions from the fact that he said 14,188 units instead of just 14,000 units, or whatever. Those are the total that MTG Salseo says are available for sale. In the US, he said 11,896 max units were available. Out of those 11,896, only 1,932 actually sold. After that, he says 2,477 attempts were made to sale. Does that mean that like that many people had their credit card declined or something.
I don't know. Who knows what that means? I mean, that could mean like people like, I don't know.
I know people, resellers try to bot. And actually there's a Twitter user that I follow, Bash McAllister, actually. He's a hype beast, shoe flipper and also cardboard flipper.
Oh, a shoe flipper. Okay.
And he mentioned like before the sale, he had a little thread about like how him and his company go about trying to get things during these limited releases. He was talking about usually how they deal with the shoe market, because the shoe market is full of hype beasts, limited releases, all trying to get things, make purchases during like online sales with a lot of demand in a short period of time. So basically he said that we have bots going at it. Some of the bots have PayPal accounts. Some of the bots have credit card accounts. I don't know if maybe these websites have some way of detecting and blocking bots. So this means that maybe if you had this many failed attempts to purchase, maybe it was a lot of bots from a smaller number of sellers all trying to buy more than the allotted amount. Because what was the allotted amount? 5 per person. I think that might have been it. Bash said he was going for 50. Anyways, 1,932 out of 11,896 sold in the US. In the UK, 507 max unit limit, but only 24 were sold in the entire UK. 50 attempts at sale. So half of the attempts didn't go through. In the EU, 1,785 max unit limit, but only 283 sold in the entire EU. That means a total sales of 2,239 units of MTG 30th Anniversary Edition. That's like less than 20% of what they have.
But this guy still doesn't ever say where he got these numbers, right? Like this is...
well, there's something I cut off before that I can confirm in the tweet, but I can't remember what it said. He didn't name names. He basically just said insiders.
Okay.
So these are the numbers that the internet, sorry, the streets are running with. I haven't seen a lot of pushback against these. All the big YouTubers, they're
interesting.
They're putting this tweet up in their videos. Jake and Joel and Magic are showing these tweets. Rudy is reading. I wonder
why they're so...
I don't know. I don't know if they know who MTGO Salseo is. What I will say about both of those two YouTubers that I named is they do seem to have some insider contacts. So, you know, maybe they've heard similar things. I don't know. And maybe that's what makes them feel confident in reading these out. Both of them have stated, you know, we don't know for sure that these are facts, but when I hear this, it kind of, I mean, it fits with what we've seen in the market.
Yes, it does fit.
That's the other thing.
It certainly makes sense compared to what, you know, we're kind of seeing and the way people are talking about the product online.
Yeah. So there's I guess when I look at this, I was like, there's a non-zero probability that more than 80% of this product is still sitting in a warehouse in Wizards. Like that's not good. I will also say, like, if it was selling very poorly, why would Wizards stop the sale after 30 minutes? Why would they care if it took 2 days to sell, a week to sell?
Because no one's going to be able to tell from like the outside how many sold within the first 30 minutes versus the next 5 hours if it's, you know, just up for still 1 day or 2 days. So it seems to me like they wouldn't have panicked that quickly after 30 minutes and pulled the sale.
It would be a very bizarre.
It seems more likely to me that and I know you made a comment above about like what is the actual print run. Maybe it's smaller than we thought or whatever. So it could be that this was a very small print run.
That could be true. The 14,188 units could not even be true. I'm discussing this as if that is true.
Yeah. But even if it is, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that they might just still want to keep some in the warehouse, because this is the kind of thing that they've already given some of it away promotionally. And it seems like the kind of thing that they might want to have on hand for the next year or the next few years to like give out as prizes, or
I see it trickling out at events. Or being packaged with certain other products that they release. But if that's the case, I mean, they've left they've basically left it up to everybody's imagination how much of this might still be in the Wizards warehouse. And that's terrible for the secondary market. Like, who's going to want to, you have a
Right.
lot of risk now, because how many people are going to want to pump $250 to $500 into a single booster pack when it's possible that 80% of this product is still sitting with Wizards and they're just waiting to give it out slowly over the years, and you're just going to see your investment just every year decrease in price. It's strange.
Yeah, although if the total number, of units printed is still the same in both scenarios, it's not too much different. But I take your point. Yeah, it undermines confidence when that's happening, and I don't know. Whole thing's weird.
The whole thing is weird. I'm going to share my screen because I think what we can say, we don't know exactly how much is out there, how much is still in the warehouse, but we can say that doesn't seem to be, there was not a lot of demand for this product. People were saying they weren't going to buy it. It looks like the people in general didn't buy it. Even all of the whales, the flippers, they clearly didn't buy this product out. It clearly didn't sell out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident in stating that. I'm going to share my screen because the next thing I wanted to do is look at the price of some of the singles that are on the market for this, because I wanted to see what was going to happen to this. Because when they first started hitting the market, when I first saw them, they were appearing as singles on Twitter during the week of Magic 30 in Las Vegas, because there were vendors out there who had access to some packs early, and some of the people who bought the Black Lotus packs, remember, they got free packs. They were open then, selling to vendors. Vendors were flipping them. I was seeing the Moxes specifically posted on Twitter for around $400, like $350 to $450, sold immediately. I saw a couple of those. Then soon after, maybe a week or so after Magic 30, I started to see some of them appear on eBay. This is the first crazy one that I saw. So there are a couple of things to say about this. One, it's an eBay posting by Kid Icarus. Since I've gotten back into buying cards on eBay, I've always noticed that Kid Icarus's cards go for a premium. I even wondered why this was, and I Googled it. There's Reddit threads about it. Kid Icarus has been in the game for a very long time, and he has a very good reputation. So people feel confident when they buy an expensive card from this person, this vendor, that the card's going to be authentic, and then it's going to arrive as described. So I've always noticed that when I started buying Legends and stuff. Kid Icarus would post one, another vendor would post one like the same week. The Kid Icarus card would always go for a little bit higher. So that's one thing to note. The second thing to note is this is a graded card.
Oh, okay.
So it's a CGC 9.5 Quad Plus. I don't know what this means. Graded cards, I'm not in the graded card world. I know they go for a premium also. I will say that all the Magic 30 cards are going to be pack fresh.
Yeah.
But I think not all pack fresh cards are 9.5s.
Correct. Yeah, we've talked about that before, because they could have damage from just, being within the pack, and they could have centering issues, or
the centering issue seems to be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Now, but the thing is, before I would get excited about a card being properly centered and pay a premium for that, I would really want to know, I would want to see a lot of examples from that set.
You're right. Yeah.
Because the centering seems to vary wildly depending on the set. There are some sets where like all the cards come off center. So when you find one that's like centered, it's a huge premium. 30th anniversary, maybe everything's well centered. Who knows?
Right.
I don't know. So I'd be afraid to put.
We don't have much to compare to yet. Yeah.
So this is a 9.5 Quad Plus Mox Pearl Magic the Gathering 30th Anniversary Edition. It's not even the old frame.
Not the retro frame.
It's not the retro frame. It's a new frame art. The auction for this ended on November 14th. The winning bid was $3,000. No, $3,050. That is wild. There were 34 bids on it. I looked at the bids, and this seemed very suspicious to me. So there was a bid. There were several bids on it. It got bid up to $1,000. And after $1,005, and these bids were all in normal increments. I don't know, $50 to $100 increments. After this $1,000 bid, the next bid was $1,894. So somebody came in and almost doubled the bid. And this person that placed the bid only has one prior eBay transaction. So this was a brand new account. And then somebody immediately beat this bid, and it is a private seller. And they upped it to $2,000. And then the person with one previous eBay transaction then upped the bid again from $2,000 to $2,700. So
$2,700.
He was really pushing it. He really felt confident in increasing his bid by almost, approaching $1,000 every bid. He wasn't the person that finally won it. He bid it up to $2,900 eventually, and then somebody beat him at $3,050. But I find these bids to be very suspicious. I'm not saying it's market manipulation. I have no idea. But this is strange. It's especially strange that the big moves are made by somebody who has only one previous eBay transaction, and then also somebody whose number of previous transactions is made private. I'm very suspicious of this, Alex. So that one went for $3,000. The next one I saw on the same day was a Mox Jet 30th anniversary edition, not graded by Beckett. Whoopity-doo. It went for $1,000 and $1,022. November 21st, one went for Ruby, Pack Fresh Mox Ruby 30th edition, $1,075. So we have this one outlier at $3,000 just because it's in a slab from Beckett, maybe. I don't know. And then we have two, a Jet and a Ruby, about $1,000. And then like a week before this, I saw the couple on Twitter, a Pearl and an Emerald, go for $350 to $450. So the prices were like all over the place. I don't know what to make of those. I looked for more recent ones and I couldn't find them. So these singles I've given the price of they're all in November, November 24th to November 21st. The ones on Twitter were a little bit early. There's nothing up there that I saw right now, which is consistent with very, very few of these selling. The newest sales that I was able to find, these are sales from December 3rd, December 2nd, and one still ongoing, are from the sealed boxes. So 30th anniversary sealed boxes containing 4 boosters. One sold for $2,000, one sold for $3,000. The third is still ongoing. Its current high bid is $2,000. So, somebody just bought these for $1,000 and were able to flip them for $2,000 and $3,000. But both of these have one bid. There's not a lot of demand here. So if you bought a large amount and you're trying to flip these quickly, I don't know. Maybe you'll have some luck in the first week or so. But if you don't get rid of them before Christmas, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be a bad idea if you had the money to buy one, just to buy one and flip it. But if you were to try to buy large numbers of this, expecting to flip it quickly, I don't know. The individual packs are dropping in price quick. Last week, there were some on TCG Player. They averaged about $600 a pack. I think there were only 3 available. And now this week, a week later, there's probably about 10 available, and they're averaging about $400 a pack. So the price people are asking dropped about 30% in a single week. I'm expecting there's probably some people out there that really wanted this for a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
They're probably willing to pay a high amount.
And the sale did end quickly, so I'm sure there were, 1 or 2 people that missed out on it and did want it. Mm-hmm.
So some people, they're going to make some money flipping. The prices are okay right now, but they're kind of all over the place. And I don't think these prices are going to hold because from what we've seen so far, there's almost no demand for this product at all. Here's a couple current ones with bids, $1,750, $1,450. But that's the end of my Magic 30th anniversary talk, really. People hated the product. They said it wasn't going to sell out. They said there wasn't going to be much demand for it. The sale has finally happened. There doesn't seem to be much demand for it. Some people who bought it to flip it, if they flipped it right away, they definitely made some money. But if you bought this in bulk, you might get stuck holding the bag, as the kids say. You can't get rid of them.
I just wonder about the numbers, curious
Yeah.
what they really are. Oh, well.
And Rudy was reading this tweet saying 14,188 units available for sale. He said he was expecting 50 to 100,000. He was like, that's a much smaller print run than I expected. So if that really is the print run, the final print run, I will also note that this tweet says a max global limit of 14,188 units available for the sale.
Yeah.
It doesn't say
printed.
That's the max number of units that were printed. Yeah.
Right.
But he said he was expecting 50,000 to 100,000. If there were really only 14,000 units printed, then this could be like one of the rarest Magic the Gathering releases ever.
Yeah.
He said it'd be rarer than the Portal set. That's hard to get. Rarer than a couple other things that he noted.
Yeah.
But if there's no demand for it, if demand remains this low, it's not going to matter.
At the same time, considering the type of cards that, since they're not tournament legal, I think it might make sense to compare them more to like a Secret Lair. You know what I mean? And those are all much smaller print runs.
Or even to compare it to the collector's edition from 93.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm remembering correctly, there might only be 10,000 copies of that.
I don't know. I can't remember what, numbers I've seen for that, but I know that it's not a lot.
I think it was small. I think it was somewhere around 10,000. So this might be more similar, in print run to the original collector's edition. But I'll still be tracking these for a little while, see what happens to the prices. Interested to see if the booster packs drop below 250, and if so, how long it takes for that to happen. Because they've already dropped from an average price of $600 to about $400 on TCG Player in a single week. So,
yeah.
Lots of things do. I've noticed this though. Lots of things start out high and then like plummet not that long after release. Anything with hype.
Yeah.
Anytime there's like a hype card in a set, and I look at the price charts for some of these hot modern cards, you'll see them start up here. Pre-release. They'll have a pre-release price that they go like real high for. And then they just sometimes absolutely plummet. Like as soon as it starts hitting the secondary market. Of course, those are all modern sets that are printed like crazy. So sometimes I think people don't understand how big the print run's going to be and how many are going to hit the market as soon as people start actually cracking the packs. So they're willing to pay a premium pre-release, and then the market is just absolutely flooded. People are selling for like pennies on the dollar. The market is not going to be flooded for this. So we might never see that collapse. And the people that do have them, they might just be willing to not get rid of them. They might just have their price that they're going to sell them for. And if nobody offers them that price, and they just hold them till they die.
Yeah.
No. We'll see what happens, Alex. Shit product. Everybody. Everybody
sorry,
hated it.
not sorry.
Everybody hated it. But now I want to be positive, Alex. I can't be negative on this podcast all the time. I'm trying to be a more positive human being in general. And now that we're major online influencers, I have to spread positivity through the internet, through our show.
Yes.
So I want to talk about something that I do like. I don't know if you followed the Brothers War much.
Not much, just a bit.
I haven't really followed the main set at all. But they did release what do they call it? I should have written some of this down. They're not like add-ons, but they're not considered a part of the set, an actual part of the set itself. They do these special printings of cards in sets. They include them in the boosters, but they're not considered actually part of the core set.
You're talking about the list?
No.
Or just
not the list.
Kind of like the Transformers cards are. Like
they're somewhat like the Transformers cards. In this case, I'm talking specifically about the retro frame artifacts.
Okay.
They've done things like this before. Well, they'll release cards in special frames or something, and they'll include those in the booster packs for a set, but they consider them like an add-on to the set. And I don't know what they call these.
Oh, okay.
But it's not really that important. Because here I'm talking. What I want to talk about is the retro frame artifact reprints from the Brothers War. So they did a few different types. There are the serialized schematics.
Yes,
which I have no interest in at
talking
all,
about these a lot
because they are wildly priced. So the current market prices for these things, I don't know where they're going to settle out at, but they're from like $1,000 to several $100s.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And they're reprints of artifacts, and they have the special schematic art that they like to include in some artifacts that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I like this. Like,
and
this
what makes
blueprint.
these special is they're X out of 500.
Yeah.
So people love the fact that they are numbered. The most expensive one going right now is Ramos Dragon Engine. I don't know what this does. This is a modern card. Legendary artifact creature dragon. 6 casting cost, 4/4 flying. Whenever you cast a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Ramos Dragon Engine for each of that spell's colors. That's wild. You can remove 5 +1/+1 counters from Ramos. Add 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, 2 green. Activate only once each turn.
Okay.
These cards must be like commander cards, right? They must be cards for very long multiplayer games where you're actually going to have enough.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know how
cast
people
these
use
things?
this exactly. Maybe there's some kind of, spell cycling, low casting cost spell cycling trick you can use with him to pump him up or something. But
yeah, there could be something. This is modern Magic. I'm not that familiar with it. That's the most expensive of the serialized numbered ones. What's the cheapest of the serialized number ones? I wonder if they did a Ivory Tower. Millstone. Millstone is the cheapest of the serialized numbered artifacts from the Brothers War. Current market price of $99.99. But I was going through these, not paying attention to the serialized number ones, because I don't want to pay several $100s for a card that has just some numbers printed on the front of it. I was going through and looking for pre-modern legal cards that were printed with the old frame, because there are several artifacts that I would like to still purchase for some pre-modern decks that are kind of expensive right now. They can run $10, $20, $30 a piece. And I was excited to see that they were reprinted in the Brothers War with the retro frame. So, in some cases, they even look better than the original printing, in my mind. So they reprinted Altar of Dementia, Ashnod's Altar. And these are with either the schematic artwork or the old artwork. Essentially, I guess no, some of them are new artwork, but with the old frame. So what did I say? Altar of Dementia, Ashnod's Altar. If you look at the Altar Dementia, this is the one I was most excited about. I think it even looks nicer than the original printing. So it has the same cool old border, and the colors a little bit more vibrant.
I was going to say, it looks a little more red and glowy.
It does. And I was thinking about picking up some Altar Dementias back in the day. By back in the day, I mean like a couple of weeks ago. From Tempest, is when it was originally printed. Their current market price is $17.
Yeah, I have one from back in the day. It was in my binder. Back then, it was not worth anything, I don't think.
So I can pick these up in the Brothers War, and if anybody out there listening was interested in some of these things, you can pick them up also in the Brothers War set. Retro frame for much cheaper. The retro frame Altar Dementia and Brothers War is going for $375 current market price. I was excited about Altar Dementia. I was excited about Defense Grid.
Yeah,
you can
Defense
get
Grid's
an
cool.
old border schematic Defense Grid for $2.51. Non-schematic artwork, old border is even cheaper. $150. We were talking about defense grids. Look, it looks just as cool as the original one. It
Yeah.
looks almost exactly like the original one. We were talking about defense grid. I can't remember when, a few episodes ago, and I was like, "Oh, I would like to pick up some of these." And I typed it in MTG stocks, and defense grids are like $20 a piece.
Oh, dang.
I don't want to pay that much for defense grids, but I will pay $2 for an old frame defense grid from the Brothers War. So I was excited to see this. That's all. Phyrexian processor. This is another one. Howling Mine
Yeah, I like
schematic.
the retro frame thing. I think it's
$1.17.
one of my big complaints is that the new frame sucks.
Howling Mine retro frame original art, 97 cents. Looks pretty darn good to me.
Yeah. Black border.
Yeah. I still like revised, but that's just because that's what I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like revised, and I also don't like revised.
Right.
I like it because that's what I played back in the day. But it is true that they just in general don't look as good as unlimited, and usually don't look as good as the black bordered also. Ornithopter, Alex. If you ever wanted a schematic ornithopter, you can get it for 30 cents. Old border.
I like that one.
It was pretty cool. Anyways, this is something neat that I saw. If I want to say something positive about some of Magic the Gathering's current products, I really like these retro frame artifacts from the Brothers War. And if there are some cards that you wanted to pick up for a long time, but they were too expensive, these versions are much cheaper. And also, if you want to wait for the original versions, maybe if you wait a couple months, if these flood the market, the original versions might come down too. Because I've seen that happen. We saw that happen with certain cards in Modern Horizons 2. The same thing might happen with some of these artifacts. I really like the millstone too.
Yeah, that's neat.
I wanted to pick up a couple millstones for a mill deck, old school style mill deck, and I only have one from back in the day. But the schematic, 10 cents, Alex.
Oh, wow.
I almost like this.
That's pretty cool. I like it.
I know. I think I like this more than the original. Even the non-schematic one, I think I might like the non-schematic one too. It's a millstone, like on top of half of a head that's made from stone. Where's it at? It's I think it's like the cheapest one. I saw it. And it's one of my favorites. I think the only art that I don't like much is the ivory tower art. I'm not into this weird leaning tower.
That's weird. Yeah, it looks too.
But everything else was cool. So I don't know. That's my brief review of the Brothers War retro frame artifacts.
Cool. Yeah, I like those too.
They were pretty good. But then after that, is there anything specifically you wanted to discuss, Alex? Magic 30th, Brothers Frame. If not, we'll get into the next segment.
No, yeah, we can go to the next segment, I guess. I've just been, I've been listening to people talk about some of this stuff a little bit. I know there's a lot of buzz around the serialized cards. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, really. I don't really have any interest in it. I'm not sure that I hate it either. But the one thing I think people are drawing a lot of conclusions or a lot of comparisons to the sports card industry and market with this, because they're saying, this is something sports cards do. This is now going to be, just watch, they're going to start doing a lot of the other things that sports cards do. And that's a little worrying maybe, but I mean, I don't know.
What are the other things that sports cards do that you might not want them to do?
I'm not sure exactly, but people talk about
it. But I heard that I saw the same reference to the sports card world when it came to these serialized cards. I am totally agnostic when it comes to the serialized cards. I'm just going to totally ignore them. If people want to spend $1,000 on them,
one thing
they were saying, I think, silly to me.
One thing I think people were saying about the sports card market is they do this sort of thing, like with the 30th anniversary, where they sell very expensive packs. Mm-hmm. They make whatever packs that are guaranteed to have like these, super, super rare cards in them, but they also sell the packs for like crazy amounts of money.
Yeah.
So
maybe we'll see more 30th anniversary edition style sets.
Yeah.
to
And people talk about
enrage.
that. There's gonna be, people are like, oh, watch, there'll be Arabian Nights anniversary next. It'll be like,
Well, I won't be excited about it. The same thing will happen when I heard about the original 30th anniversary edition. I was excited because I thought it was going to be like the collector's edition, and then I was like, "What the fuck is this?" So if they do the same thing for Legends and Arabian Nights, I think it's gonna sell the same. I think the player base
yeah,
will
they're
react
gonna
the
have to
same
like
way.
tweak this system or something.
Yeah, maybe they release them for cheaper. Maybe they say, "Oh, draft Legends or Arabian Nights with your friends," and they release it at a price point where people can actually do that. Or they just do the same shit that they did with the 30th anniversary, but they market it in a more intelligent way. And they don't
Yeah.
say to people, draft these $1,000 packs of beta reprints with your friends. They just come right out and say, this is for collectors only.
Yeah.
They do that. This is not for you. One other, I just thought of something else too. Something else that I liked. We've talked about this before. Recently, the 30th anniversary secret layer kit. I got my singles in the mail. So I bought some singles from this.
Yeah.
All
I've
of
gotten a
the
few of mine.
all of the secret layer cards that I could play in some pre-modern decks that I want to build. I just bought them because they were like 50 cents to $2,
Yeah.
depending on the card. So I got my Mishra's Factory. I got one here. I got a couple other in an envelope.
I got a couple
Pretty sweet.
Mistress Factories and Tradewind Riders already.
I bought Lynn's V's.
Oh yeah.
Lynn's CV, Defiant Hero, a legendary creature, human rebel. I want to build a white, black, or white blue weenie creature deck scaffold, right? And I want to use that as a base for making a white weenie soldier deck, potentially a white weenie rebel deck, or a white weenie cleric deck. So these are three different tribes that I want to play with, and I want to kind of work them into the same scaffold and see which one I like better. But I got Lynn CV for the rebels. I'm going to get some Ice and Crusaders for the soldiers. I don't know what to get for the clerics yet, but I do know people make cleric decks.
I've picked up a couple like black clerics and stuff and white clerics.
Yeah.
Or black white.
I'm thinking black white or black blue because white alone is just, there's too many ways to beat that.
Yeah.
But I can use the black blue to get some card draw, card sorting, and counters, of course. Or I could use the black white to get some discard. Because if you don't have counters, at least you can disrupt your opponent's hand with discard. Try to get the counters out, or force them to play the counters against your discard, and then you cast what you want. Just white itself just seems too open to all sorts of problematic
shenanigans.
Yeah. I got a couple smokestacks. Don't know what I'm gonna do with these yet. I got a couple Limdol's Vaults.
Nice.
I got 4 Tradewind Riders. And I got 4 Squee Goblin Nabobs. I'm gonna be playing this guy too. These are 50 cents a piece, Alex. I really like this art. And I'm handling these new cards for the first time. They feel better than I was afraid they would feel worse. But they feel better than I expected them to feel. I kind of like them.
Yeah, I think they're okay. They feel maybe like, in between average modern cards and old school cards.
They don't feel as thin and flimsy as the modern lands that people have sent me as freebies with things that I've bought. They feel a little bit better than that. And they look really nice. And all these modern cards have like these little holograms on the bottom. I'm guessing they do this to make counterfeiting much harder or maybe impossible. So maybe that's something you don't have to worry about any longer. Counterfeiting modern cards. Do you know when they started doing that?
I don't. And I know people still counterfeit them, but I think, if you look closely, you can probably tell the difference.
Do you know what to do? Do you know how to look?
I've seen it online. I've looked at it, but I can't remember because I'm not handling enough modern cards to check that.
Yeah.
But if you zoom in on the hologram, there's a patterning and stuff that's how it's supposed to look.
Okay. Okay, so those are my secret layer purchases.
Nice. Yeah, I got some factories and trade wind riders, and I'm gonna pick up a few more things still here, like some smokestacks.
Oh yeah, I got a
maybe
couple
later this
shivens
fall.
coming too, but I didn't get
Oh,
the
yeah.
shivens in yet. Those are like $1.50 right now, $1.40, $1.50. Which everybody has shivens. Maybe people are like, I don't want to buy any more shivens, but it's a very unique shiven, and I only have 2, and I wanted 4.
It is unique. I'm wondering if they're ever going to use this secret lair art for other things. Like, I could see it going both ways. The way they're marketing it sort of seems like it's just for this. But now
Mhm.
that if they own the rights to this art, I can sort of also see them,
Have they ever
acting on
reused?
that.
Have
they
they
ever
ever
used what?
have they ever reused any secret layer art before? Do you know?
I do not know for sure. I want to say yes, but I'm not sure.
They're pretty cool. The Limdo's vault looks even better in person than I thought it would look too.
Oh yeah.
I like this one. It's pretty sweet. So the next thing I want to talk about, Alex, unless you had something you wanted to say.
Nope, that was
Okay.
it.
Is you actually brought this up in the not that long ago as a potential future topic. So Gustcloak. We're now no longer talking about the current market. We're going to talk about a mechanic that is old, but it's new to me and new to Alex because it didn't exist last time we played Magic, right? And you said to me, "Oh, I heard about something called Gustcloak," and I was like, well, "What the hell is Gustcloak?" So I looked into it a little bit, and it is a non-keyword triggered ability that was first introduced in Onslaught. That is what I read. And creatures with Gustcloak, if a creature has Gustcloak, it allows the controller of a blocked creature to remove the creature from combat. That prevents damage dealt to the creature and damage dealt by the creature. So I read that and it seemed to me like it's a Maze of Ith that you can only use on things that you control. Is that how it functions?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So Maze of Ith is.
Maze of Ith, I'm trying to remember exactly. Maybe I don't remember the exact wording on Maze of Ith, but I always use Maze of Ith to remove something from combat. So
Yeah.
okay. But you could remove. So with Maze of Ith, if somebody attacks you with a creature, you could Maze of Ith it to prevent the attack on you.
Yes, but you can also Maze of Ith your own creature.
You can't, yeah.
To save it. That's the only reason I hesitated is because it has like a Maze of Ith has slightly more use, but yeah, I saw these cards and while I was shopping and I picked up a couple of them from Onslaught, and I just thought it was kind of a neat effect. Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this because I thought the one was slightly different, and I'm not seeing why at first glance. Hold on.
Okay, I'm gonna pull some stuff up on Scryfall. Because when I was looking for Gustcloak cards, it doesn't seem like there's really that many of them.
No, there's just a couple, I think.
Yeah. And they were mostly from Onslaught. I don't remember if they were all from Onslaught. Some of them have been reprinted in other sets, Vintage Masters, Dual Decks. They might all be white.
Yes.
But I'm going to cover the ones that I'm at least aware of. If there are others, then maybe we can review these at a later date.
The only ones I've found 5 from Onslaught, and then there's a newer one from Time Spiral.
Okay. I'm gonna share my screen right now, Alex. Again, I'm sharing my screen again.
Okay.
When I typed in Gustcloak into Scryfall, this is what I pulled up. I pulled up 5. One of them is from Time Spiral.
Yeah, the Cavalier. We can ignore him for now. There's the one that's missing from there for you is Gustcloak Savior.
Yes.
Which
I think
is
I had
rare.
this one. Okay, I had this one highlighted on my notes, and I can't remember why.
Well, it's probably the better one, and it's a rare.
Let's start with that guy then. I might have highlighted him because I might have thought he was cool for some reason. Gustcloak Savior from Onslaught. Very cool art.
I like the art.
4 colorless, 1 white. Bird Soldier. We've talked about
Yeah.
Bird Soldier decks before.
Yeah.
Imagine having a soldier
decks
deck
bird decks.
plus a bird deck. Yeah, and there's actually, I think, a Bird Soldier legend that gives like +1/+1 to birds and to soldiers.
Geez, yeah, it's all falling into place.
But I've never seen anybody play a Bird Soldier deck.
No, I will be the first.
Okay.
No, I'm sure
Somebody has to do it.
Someone is, but
they just don't make it onto the competitive Magic scene that I watch on YouTube or on Twitch, I guess. But
yeah, listen,
there's more to Magic the Gathering than competition. There's also Bird Soldiers.
Yeah.
And the Gathering. Anyways, Gustcloak Savior is 4 colorless, 1 white, creature Bird Soldier, 3/4 flying. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may untap that creature and remove it from combat.
Yes.
So this guy gives Gustcloak to everything.
Yeah.
All creatures you have. Okay, so this is what makes him the rare. This is what
that's I think that's
savior.
the key with this guy. I think that's the thing I was trying to remember. Yeah, it works for all of your creatures. Yeah.
So that guy's pretty cool. Let's go through the others. So that's the big baddie. The other one's Gustcloak Cavalier, 3 colorless, 2 white. He's a knight, probably also a soldier now, right?
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know.
2/2 flanking. I like flanking. Whenever Gustcloak Cavalier attacks, you may tap target creature. Whenever Gustcloak Cavalier becomes blocked, you may untap Gustcloak Cavalier and remove it from combat. That just means he just has a Gustcloak. But the original ability, whenever he attacks, you may tap target creature.
Oh wow.
Is an additional ability, right? That can help other guys get through. How does that? I wonder how that works on the stack when you tack and somebody declares a blocker. They say, I'm going to use my. What's a 3/3 creature?
I would guess so. Whenever Gustcloak Cavalier attacks, that tapping probably, I'm guessing that can't be responded to. It probably just happens first. It's like an effect, because not everything goes on the stack. I don't know if that would or not, but I sort of feel like it's just like not a, like as soon as you declare it, like that would probably, I don't know. I might be wrong. I might be wrong. Maybe they could do something in response. I don't know.
We'll have to figure this out later because I had some questions about exactly how Gustcloak worked and how
I hadn't looked at him because he's from Time Spiral, so
powerful it would be. I'm still trying to figure it out. But let's say my opponent has a giant spider and I attack with my Gustcloak Cavalier. When I attack, I think his giant spider would just be tapped, and then I would be free to run roughshod over him with my Cavalier. Yeah. Say, sucks to your spider.
And it's neat because he has flanking too, so you can kind of like manipulate, maybe what creature they have available to block him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the Time Spiral guy.
Yeah.
Gustcloak Harrier, a bird soldier from Onslaught. 1 colorless, 2 white, 2/2 flying. He has Gustcloak. Whenever Gustcloak Harrier becomes blocked, you may untap it and remove it from combat. So basically, he's a 2/2 flyer for 3.
For 3. So that's not, and he has a little ability. So that's not, amazing, but it's not awful.
It's not bad. I mean, there have been plenty of times when I wanted to run Thunder Spirit in a deck, which is a 2/2 flyer for 3 with first strike.
Yeah, that's sort of what I.
And I never run them in a deck because they cost fucking $150 to buy right now. You can get a Gustcloak Harrier for 9 cents.
Yeah,
it doesn't have first strike, but
and he'll synergize with your soldiers, which Thunder Spirit will not do, and your birds.
Yes. I mean, a much greater value proposition here for the Gustcloak Harrier than for the Thunder Spirit. I like that one. I put 2 of this guy in my TCG cart yesterday.
Oh, okay. Gustcloak Runner.
Gustcloak Runner. 1 white, 1/1 soldier with Gustcloak. Because I was looking for 1-drops. I was looking for soldier 1-drops for the soldier deck I want to build. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
okay, this guy has Gustcloak on top of that. So I might throw some of this guy into my soldier deck. So that's
Cool.
pretty basic, but it's a good little one drop for your weenie deck, depending on what kind of abilities you want your weenies to have. Another one is Gustcloak Sentinel, 2 colorless, 2 white, 3/3 with Gustcloak. Not my favorite.
Yeah, he's not great.
Not my favorite of the bunch so far.
4 mana, meh.
I'm into Harrier. I'm into Runner. I'm into Savior. I'm not into Sentinel. Gustcloak Skirmisher. Also Onslaught, 3 colorless, 1 white. I'm into Bird Soldiers. This guy's a Bird Soldier.
Yeah, back
He
to the
also
birds.
looks like he is fading out of existence. He's
Yeah, he's
partially
like, yeah,
translucent. What's
yeah.
going on here? Is he wearing a Gustcloak maybe?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, okay, he's wearing a cloak that's making him go invisible. That's his
Yeah.
Gustcloak.
Yeah.
3 colorless, 1 white, 2/3 flyer with Gustcloak. Not bad.
Not bad. One more than the other one, and he gets one more toughness. I'm not
Yeah.
sure I like that.
I don't love it.
Math.
I don't love it. I
Rather
think
play the Harrier.
I think I'm running the Harrier. I think I'm running the Runner. I think I'm running the Savior.
Yeah, the Skirmisher can still get lightning bolted. It's not, you don't really gain anything from having to pay an extra mana for him, I don't think. But
you can exchange with a hippie and win.
That's true.
That's it though. Whatever. So Gustcloak removes creatures from combat if blockers are. So what can you do? What can you do? I was trying to think, what can I do with the Gustcloak? Now, I think I might like having Gustcloak in a weenie deck, because one of the things about having a weenie deck is you put a lot of creatures on the board and you go wide. But then what will happen is your opponent will play a 4/4 or something, and you'll be like, I want to get some points through, but I don't want to attack.
Yeah.
Because if I attack, he blocks, and then I lose a person.
Yeah.
And then next turn when he attacks, I can block, I lose a person. He's whittling away 2 of your creatures every round, and pretty soon, the number of points you're getting through when you're going wide is decreasing. And the time at which you're not going to have any blockers for his big creature is rapidly approaching, because you're losing 2 guys every round.
Yeah.
With Gustcloak, you can go wide
and save your guys.
Lose a creature. Whatever creature he chooses to block, you cannot lose it.
Yeah.
You can retain it as a blocker next turn and still do damage. So
yeah, and that's good, because you don't just save it, you don't just save its life, but you also untap it and make it available to block.
And that's a big thing. So I was like, I gotta run some of these in a weenie deck and see how much I like this Gustcloak ability. The first thought I had when I saw this was like, oh, the other thing you can do is maybe remove a creature from combat if they block and they pump their blocker, like a Pendlehaven or a Giant Growth. Some people told me I can't do that online. They said you can't remove it after a pump spell or in response to a pump spell. You have to choose.
I can see that.
Whether or not to initiate the Gustcloak trigger at the moment blocking is declared.
Yeah, I can see that from how it's written, because it says whenever he becomes blocked. So that would, that's when you have to make that decision.
Yeah. So, oh, well, I can't do that, but I still like the fact that I could go wide with my weenies and save one. Save whatever one they try to block. I love going wide with weenies, Alex. The other thing I thought of, I don't know the answer to this yet, but maybe somebody listening, they can think of some things, or maybe if you know of some things, you can tell me. There's got to be creatures that have some kind of ability that's triggered when they attack, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you don't want to attack with them because it'll get blocked and it'll get killed. But if you run it in a Gustcloak deck, you can attack to trigger that ability every time, and then you Gustcloak them.
Yeah.
With your
That's
Savior.
a good idea. Yeah.
With your Savior.
Things that trigger on attack.
Yeah. And is there an enchantment? You think there would be an enchantment that gives Gustcloak? You think there would be a Gustcloak enchantment?
Yeah, I don't know if there are any cards other than these creatures that employ this mechanic or anything.
They might have given up
just
on
the
it
ones
after Onslaught.
Yeah, these are just the ones I've come across.
They like to do this with white. They like to give white creatures these abilities that they just don't like to, that they want to remove from the game. Like banding and Gustcloak. I don't know. And there are all these weird like banding and Gustcloak are also weird combat tricks too that make combat a little bit more confusing. Or a little bit harder to decide what decisions to make.
Okay,
during
so
combat.
there's a white enchantment. I've seen this before. Reconnaissance for 1 white. You may spend 0 to remove target attacking creature you control from combat and untap it.
People did talk about that.
So
People
that's pretty
mentioned
good.
reconnaissance. And I read somewhere, somebody referred to Gustcloak as basically reconnaissance, and somebody pointed out what was better about reconnaissance. And I can't remember. Can you read that to me again? Can you read reconnaissance again?
Yeah, let me double check there's no like errata on it or anything. Okay. One white enchantment, 0, spend 0 mana. Remove target attacking creature you control from combat and untap it. Okay, so it doesn't have the when it is blocked stipulation.
Yes, that's what I
You
think.
can use reconnaissance later than maybe after they've giant growthed.
That's what I think the case is. We would have to confirm that.
Yeah.
With I don't know who. But I also think that is what makes it a little better. Yeah, because all the Gustcloak card says whenever it becomes blocked, when it becomes blocked, when Skirmisher becomes blocked, when Harrier becomes blocked. Reconnaissance is 0, remove target attack creature you control from combat and untap it.
Yes, the presence of this card might undo. It might make my I don't know. Maybe I don't want to use these Gustcloaks anymore.
Yeah, just pick your favorite tribe and throw some reconnaissances in the deck.
Yeah.
I can Gustcloak with my clerics now. I can Gustcloak with my non-soldier birds. I can Gustcloak my elves. Anything. I gotta find creatures in other colors that have triggered abilities when they attack, and then put reconnaissance in the deck. I wonder what people use reconnaissance with. Did you pull it up on Gatherer?
Yeah. It was just printed in Exodus. Looks like.
Just printed 20 years ago. Never reprinted. Exodus still has reserve list cards, but this is now one of them. Right? Exodus does have a reserve list card. Highly rated by the community on Gatherer. How much does reconnaissance go for? $10.
Oh.
This had a big spike. 6 months ago, you could buy it for $25. Now you can buy it for 10.
All right.
Maybe now's not a bad time to buy it. It's kind of normalized back to its trend line.
Yeah.
Reversion. It's reverted to the mean, Alex. Pick up your reconnaissances now.
Pick up your reconnaissances. Well, yeah, that takes a little wind out of my Gustcloak sail, but still good to know about that card, and maybe there's a reason to play with the Gustcloak still.
Well, you don't have to have 2 cards for the ability.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. It's a creature with it baked in. So yeah.
Yes, and it's reconnaissance is a little bit better than what's baked into the Gustcloak cards, but there are still many cases in which the Gustcloak ability, as written on the Gustcloak cards, will be beneficial to you.
Yeah, and I like how the Savior is 3/4.
And you like how they're bird soldiers.
And I like how they're bird soldiers.
Do you know the bird soldier legend that gives +1 to soldiers and +1 to birds?
No.
How do you not know that? You're talking to me about bird soldiers. You pretend like you're a big bird soldier fan. Like you're all about bird soldiers and like you're building a bird soldier deck. I forget what it's called, so I'm going to pull it up. Let me see if I Google bird soldier legend, if it comes up.
I was thinking of Kangi Airy Keeper, but that's not it.
So this one is not who I was thinking of, but I saw this one the other day. This is a bird soldier legend. Commander Isha. 2/4 flying, 2 colorless, 2 white flying, protection from creatures. I
Oh,
like
cool.
this
I like
because
that.
basically it's an unbeatable blocker, right? You can just right? I
Yeah,
mean, if
that's
that's
not bad.
yeah. If it has protection from creatures, you can block anything with it, right? And it won't die.
Yeah, as
Now,
far as I can tell.
the one I'm thinking of has goofier. Here we go. Avon Brigadier. 3 colorless, 3 white.
Oh, holy crap.
Badass art. Onslaught. Bird soldier. 3/5 flying.
I wonder if I saw this and just forgot about it.
Alex, how do you forget about that?
I don't know. He's awesome.
All other birds get +1/+1. All other soldiers get +1/+1. A question I have for you. Does that mean this guy gets +2/+2 because he's a bird and a soldier? Do all birds and soldiers get
No, it says
+2/+2?
all other birds.
Okay. New question. Do all other bird soldiers in your deck get +2/+2?
Yeah,
I think, right?
that's how I read that. If it's a bird, it gets it. If it's a soldier, it gets it. If it's both, it gets both.
I'm fucking psyched.
What's his casting cost? I can't see. It's behind your.
It's up
window.
there.
Is it
It's
3
up there.
white?
It's 3 colorless, 3 white.
Oh, 3 white. Okay.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
know we're
That's a
talking
fair amount, but
we're talking personal incarnation casting costs here, right?
it's a weird.
Is that what personal incarnation?
I don't know. I don't even know. That was a deep comparison.
I think it is because that's why personal incarnation was never that great. Although I definitely played some personal incarnation back in the day. I know I did. Yes, 3 colorless, 3 white. Summon avatar. Was personal incarnation always an avatar? I don't think it was.
I doubt it.
Anyways, that's the end of the
yeah,
Gustcloak
it says
segment, Alex.
Avatar on the unlimited version.
Oh, does it really? Damn it.
What did you
What?
play? Like, what did you have? Like revised
Yeah.
personal incarnation?
Yeah. Are you gonna ask me what kind of deck I played it in? Because the answer is gonna be like, I don't have no idea. It was just that was back in the day when like if any of us had a big creature, we played it.
Yeah.
So
Just
like
any
if whoever
card
had
that
a
was
Lord of
kinda
the
good, you
Pit,
put in your deck.
whoever had a Lord of the Pit played their Lord of the Pit. Whoever had a Force of Nature played their Force of Nature. I
Yeah,
know that I had a personal incarnation at some point, and I was like, oh damn, 6/6, I'm playing this guy.
gotta play it.
Not as good as the Shivan. Not as good as the Mahamodi. Every color had their fatty. Those are the 2 best. Right? I feel like those got to be the 2 best.
Yeah, probably.
What's after that? Force of Nature.
Force of
or Lord the
Nature.
Pit? I think Force of
Yeah.
Nature too. Or personal incarnation.
Huh. But yeah, that's not bad for a bird soldier, fatty.
No, it's not. I mean, it's fun. It'd be fun to play. Maybe after I make maybe I put together my blue, white, or blue, black scaffold that I'm going to build into a soldier deck and a cleric deck and a rebel deck. See which one I like best. I'll try a bird soldier deck with an Avon Brigadier in it.
I like how stoic he is. He's like standing there like a.
It's good art.
British soldier kind of, but he's like.
It reminds me of like a children's fantasy book artwork.
Yeah, remember what's that
Redwall.
guy? Graham something. He wrote that book. It was like there's a page for every letter in the alphabet, and it's all full of like illustration of like all things that begin with that letter. It's very complex.
You took off your headphones, Alex.
Oh yeah, sorry. Can you not hear me?
Barely. Remember, Alex, we're trying to produce a show here.
My bad. Sorry.
What were you doing?
I'm sorry. I was looking for magic cards.
Oh, okay. I can't remember who I can't remember the name of that author. It gives me like Brian Jacques vibes too. Redwall, like but birds instead of mice.
Oh yeah, okay.
Greg Staples.
Graham Base.
He's from the Staples family.
Yes, I think this is him. Graham Base. You're Animalia.
Owner of the Staples chain.
What? Who's
Office supply store. Greg Staples. This is the
Oh.
son. He's the heir to the Staples fortune.
Why'd you bring him up? What?
Because he's the artist for Avon Brigadier.
Oh.
Jesus. Who is this person? Animalia?
Yeah, Animalia.
Book? This isn't what I was thinking at all.
This isn't what I was thinking of either.
Okay.
I'll find it out. We'll have an update on the book I'm trying to think of.
This should be easy to find. Why can't I find this? Probably because his name isn't Graham.
No, it's spelled differently. It's Graeme.
How do you know how his name's spelled if you don't know who the person really is?
I searched the other way and I found it eventually.
Oh, well, how do you spell it?
Graeme.
Graham Roland Base? Graham Base?
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about this either. I have a different vague image in my head. From the 11th hour? Is this what you were thinking of?
Yeah, that one Animalia to the right of it too.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. He might just be, I might be mixing him up with a different author because I don't see the book that I'm thinking of. I don't know. That's my mom.
I don't remember these at all. I don't know this guy. Not Maurice Sendak. You didn't remember him, right?
No. Who's that?
Okay. Okay. He wrote Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh yeah, okay.
Look, there's a bird soldier. Right there.
Yeah. They should get him to do like a secret lair bird soldier art.
He's dead, Alex. Thanks for reminding me.
Oh,
damn it.
My bad.
Terrible. All the best people are dead. This is what happens when you get old. All the people that made the things you liked are dead.
Yep.
Now what are we left with? Dickheads on social media.
Now what are we left with?
Okay. Well, that brings an end to our Gustcloak segment, Alex. It's a neat little mechanic that nobody ever really talks about, and I don't know many people run it, but there's some creatures with that ability that I think I want to put in decks. Anyways, I like a 2/2 flyer in white for 3. I like a 1-drop 1/1 white soldier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for those base characteristics. So if I can find one that has Gustcloak, I think I want to throw it in a deck and see how difficult that makes life for my opponent when they're trying to decide what to block.
Yeah, I think that's the whole idea of it.
Yeah.
Just try to mess with their head and have lots of options for how you can make them block you or get around their blockers.
So you got anything else to talk about for the day? Or are we going to wrap it up?
I don't think so. I think we might wrap it up. Is that cool?
Yeah, no, I think we wrap it up here.
I didn't buy anything recently, so if I pick anything else up, I'll let you know next week or the week after.
I just bought my secret layer stuff. I do have more stuff coming in the mail. I got goblins coming, Alex. So that's why next week we're probably going to talk about goblins next week. We're going to talk about pre-modern goblins because I want to start assembling a goblin deck. I got my green deck built. I want to make a red goblin deck. And then I want to do my white thing with either soldiers, rebels, or what's the other?
Clerics.
Clerics. Okay. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Is there any Old Man Magic news? Let me think. We got a new logo. I'm sure the people are very excited about that. We got in addition to our Twitter page at Old Man Magic and our YouTube page at Old Man Magic, we now have a Facebook page at Old Man Magic. There's nobody on it yet, but I occasionally post stuff. So maybe one day we'll have a community, who knows? We'll have a community of old men who love magic. That's what that's there for.
Or other people.
or other people. Old women are allowed. Young women are allowed. Young men are allowed. Everybody's allowed, as long as if you're old enough to have a Facebook account. If it's legal for you to join Facebook, you're allowed. I don't screen for sex, gender, or age. Just to be clear.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, great, Alex. It was nice talking Magic the Gathering with you.
You too, as always.
Talk to you next week.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.